So today I'll be showing you cool tips in our Excel, how civil engineers can use the Excel sheet, and what are the things we can actually, what are the actually shortcuts which are there in our Excel. Let us see that thing. So let's get started. First and the foremost thing I want to show you that you can see here in Excel we'll be having a lot of cells, and basically Excel is useful to have formulas for once. If you're putting the formula for the next time, you will be having all these formulas acting when you're entering the values. I'll be showing you how exactly we can input the formulas here and how we'll be using the Excel. But the first and the foremost thing I want to show you certain shortcut keys in the Excel. The first thing I want to show you that if you have a lot of sheets here, if you want to toggle between different sheets, you can actually click here. And if you want to have a shortcut for this thing, yes, you can have a shortcut key control plus page up or control plus page down. You can see here how I can actually toggle between these shortcut keys. This is the first shortcut key what I find to be useful, like if you're dealing with quantity survey part of beam slabs and columns, all these things, you can actually rename this thing. Like here I'm renaming it to be beam, and then I'm going to go for here like slabs or cantilever beam, simply supported beam, this and that. If you want to toggle between these sheets, you can actually have that thing by page down, or you can actually toggle that thing by page up as well. Okay, now the next shortcut key what I find to be useful is if you want to enter the date here itself, you can actually enter that thing by pressing control plus we'll be having colon. And if you're seeing, you can see here I am able to put my date here 16/8/2018, which is actually today's date. Now the next shortcut which is I find to be useful is control plus A. You can see how actually I can select everything at a time. So then afterwards you can delete or whatever you want to do, you can actually do that thing. Now the next thing is if you want to make another worksheet just beside it, you can actually click on this add option, or you can actually use shift plus F11 so that you can see there is another sheet what I have created. Then afterwards we'll be having if at all you are maybe somewhere, somewhere here you're writing, if you want to go back to the original, somewhere here, you can actually use control plus home, and you can see how it is actually going back to my beginning. Then let us say you are here and you want to select entire row or entire column. You can actually use control plus space in order to select entire column. And if you want to select entire row, you can actually press shift plus space, and you can see I have selected entire row here. So entire column by control plus space, and entire row by shift plus space. This is again one more shortcut key what I find to be useful. Now if you want to insert something, like you can actually just right click here and you can actually insert by this option. And if you want to have a shortcut key for that thing as well, I can actually press control and plus button, and you can actually see how I have got all the options: shift cell down, shift cell right, entire row, entire column. Let us say I'm selecting entire row, and then click on OK, and you can see here I have got all the row here. If at all I was to select another thing, I would have get that thing. Now you can see these are the numbers which are there towards the right side. If you want to make that thing exactly in the center, just select that thing and have justification as center. And here you can see I have a little bit of space which is actually going outside, which I don't find to be useful. Just double click here and you can see how the things are getting back to, it's not wasting the space, that kind of thing. Let us say if it is something like this, is something hash, it is showing hashes like that. So if I'm double clicking here, you can see again it's actually going back. You can do that thing by selecting completely and then double clicking here, and everything will be getting perfectly. Now let's go to another thing, how we can actually have the formulas and all these things. Let us see that part. For having the formulas, I'm going to show you a small little thing which we civil engineers will be having many times. We'll be having the dimensions of the beams in inches, and we want to see how exactly the things are going to be in so like I will be having beam sizes like this: 9 inches by 12 inches, or 9 inches by 15 inches, 9 inches by 18 inches, and 21, and so on. If you want, you can actually have other dimensions as well. So let's say this all dimensions are there in inches actually. So I'm writing here on the top side in inches, and I'm double clicking here, so that yeah, here we go. Now what I want is all this dimension, I want it to be in terms of mm, so I'm putting here mm. And then you can see I'm going to type here a formula, and remember, whenever you're going to start a formula, just type here is equal to, and then select whatever cell you want, and then what you do is just multiply that thing by 25.4, because you know that if you want to convert inches into millimeters, you can actually multiply that thing 25 by 4 and it's going to convert. Now pressing enter is going to give you the value 229. So 9 inches is actually equal to 230 mm, or you can see here it is 229. If you want to have another dimension as well, just you can select that thing, drag it, and you can see how simple and easy it has been calculated everything. So 12 mm is 12 inches actually in terms of mm is 305, 15 is 381, 18 is 47, and so on, so on. So this is how actually you can calculate all the dimensions in terms of mm easily. So this is how you can actually use the Excel. And let us have another idea. Like whenever we find the rods will be having the diameters like 8 mm and 10 mm, 12 mm, 16 mm, and 20 mm, 25, and so on. So if you want to have the formula for area of steel for this thing, let us say it is actually dia, and dia in terms of mm. Okay, I want the area of steel for this thing, and area of steel should be obviously in terms of square millimeters, or I can actually write mm2, meaning mm to the power of 2. So now if I want to have the formula, I think you will know that the formula